Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Need some advice? I have that gut feeling. I've had it for a while. And I'm due to get married in just over a month. Skeptical suspicion high, all throw away for obvious reasons. I'm getting married in 6 weeks. So this is a far from ideal time to be concerned about this, I know, but I also acknowledge that I may be carrying issues from my previous relationship/yes where I have been cheated on. So this could go either way. I have had this gut feeling for a long time that my M38 fiance, F35, has been seeing someone for the occasional FWB catch-up when she has been going back home, interstate, to visit her friends and family. She is a notoriously private person, no social media, quite introverted, but highly intelligent. She's a doctor and she outsmarts me in arguments and logic hands down every time. There are a couple of possible candidates. One is a male friend who I am sussing on just for their history that doesn't add up. I'll explain this a little more in a moment. The other candidates are people I don't actually know, but I am assuming whoever it is, if there is, it is a previous FWB's type deal who is generally out of the picture from her daily life and therefore very hard to identify. She is also very disciplined. To the point of being a bit OCD. She used to delete all her text messages religiously until I brought it up with her a few years ago. I wasn't comfortable with it and there was ultimately no good reason for deleting messages in this day and age of huge data storage available on smartphones. She agreed not to, but I know for a fact she still is deleting some. She's also started sitting on the other end of the couch and this means her phone by almost default would have to be turned away from me when she is using it, but I have noticed sometimes that she is almost going right out of her way to make sure the screen is not visible to me. I've noticed messages from certain people have been deleted, but because the conversations are either completely deleted, which she does the moment that conversation finishes, again, religiously. Doesn't leave anything sitting on the phone for a second longer than it needs to be, which leaves no evidence that she has even spoken to them, signal and iMessage, or in other cases, like the male friend I am sus on, there is normal conversations that are there but any discussion that isn't above board, if it is even occurring, must be getting deleted immediately. Leaving the rest of the discussion without this subject there looking continuous without skipping. I've paid attention to the pattern of her hand movement during times when I feel she is turning the phone away from me with a little more purpose than normal, and unless I'm just making it up in my head because that's what I am looking for, it certainly appears to be the movements of flicking through a conversation and selectively choosing individual messages one by one. Scrolling and speed reading each message, greater than select individual messages, greater than then after a little bit of that, the finger moves up to the top left of the iPhone screen and presses. Which just so happens to be where the delete button is after batch selecting individual messages. Anyway, so I am sussing out on this male friend for a few reasons. She has always had male friends. Her 2 best friends are actually guys who she has been best friends with since we went to school. These 2 are no threat at all. I'm not in the slightest bit concerned about them. However, this other guy has at some point become part of the group, but my fiancé seems to be the connection between them. She has talked about platonic history with him, such as looking after his daughter in the past, which one would think would only happen if you're spending significant time alone with each other, and a bunch of things that seem to point toward a more significant friendship history than the very low level of communications appear to support. He's a good-looking guy, she jumps at every chance to hang out with him, and all the indications to me have me asking why she isn't with him. Or was she? She is always the one inviting him to come out with the group. Again, she seems to be the one who goes out of her way to message him and let him know the group is getting together when she is back there. We were back there, interstate, the other night and caught up with the 2 best friend males and this guy. We started the night going out to dinner. She sat at the other end of the table to me, next to him, and they barely spoke to anyone else at the table the entire time. Then we were all out drinking, and after a few drinks in her, I wasn't drinking, she wasn't hanging out with me much, and things felt really off. Anyway, I digress. Back to this guy. Maybe it's just me, but it seems odd for two people who get along like a house on fire when they are together, who she goes out of her way to invite to the group catch-ups, or arranges to meet for lunch etc. when she is back home, or when he comes to our city to visit his family here every so often. Look, I don't want to zero in too much on him, which I know I have very much done already, because I really have to stress that as far as empirical evidence goes, there is nothing solid to support the above except the above, which you could argue either way. Importantly, I want to stress that it honestly is just as likely that there is a completely unknown person in this, whose messages/communications she is religiously deleting in full and leaving no trace. I have really sold most of you on the guy I've talked about above already, I know, but I lend equal weight to the possibility of it being an unknown due to simply not being able to find any solid evidence of something going on with this guy I've mentioned, and the realistic fact that if she can so thoroughly delete messages with him and other people, then it stands to equal reason she could be doing this for someone else. I guess ultimately it doesn't matter who it is, I just want to know if there is indeed something to this crazy gut feeling of mine that is driving me nuts and ultimately will damage this relationship needlessly if it's wrong. So I need to accept the conclusion one way or another and either get the proof I need to justify ending a serious relationship, or I need to grow the duck up and get past this and get on board with the future with her. Yes, I've snooped through her phone. The gut feelings have been so strong at times I can't help but not want to go through with getting married again, only to find out the whole thing was tainted from the start. But the phone is totally clean. Almost like it's too clean. That's what is really worrying me now too. Either she is deleting the offending messages/communications, which again, I would doubt anyone else could do it so consistently with such discipline, but if anyone can, she is the person, or she is beyond reproach. The most moral, sin-free person I have ever met. That would be nice, of course. So quite possibly, there is absolutely nothing going on, she's squeaky clean and I'm just a paranoid idiot who needs to get some help and get my head in this where my heart is, except that I can be all in on this relationship and soon to be married. The phone is just too clean. Not a single questionable conversation/text/photo etc. anywhere to be seen. I feel like no one can possibly be that squeaky clean. We all have our skeletons in the closet. Don't we? Also, just to give a bit more context, our sex life isn't fantastic. We just don't seem to click in bed sexually, and it's frustrating for both of us. Neither of us are prudes by any means. We both have significant sexual histories, and there's not much on the table that we haven't done separately when we were not in a relationship or together, but we just don't click. It's kinda awkward. And hearing about her old 6'12" tall ex-boyfriend who used to bang her in the ass with his massive dick doesn't exactly do much for me either, just quietly. But that's another issue. Anyway, there is of course much more background to all this that may have a fairly large sway on what your opinion of this is, and I could frame it either way depending how I present it, so I am trying to avoid that bit for now. Has anyone got any advice as to what I should do? Should I let this go and get on with my upcoming marriage, accepting that if I haven't found anything, that my gut feeling might be just past experiences haunting me? I truly do love this girl and I would hate to ruin things or end things for my own paranoia. But equally, I don't want to get a big kick in the teeth later down the track when things become more and more complicated. It's too late to postpone the wedding. So that's not really an option. But my gut feeling has never been wrong in the past. For those who say I should keep my ears to the ground, have you got any suggestions as to how I might go about detecting a every so often person who likely lives interstate from us and is otherwise only sporadically in contact, which gets deleted immediately? Thanks in advance and sorry for being a nutter. Alright. Next time you feel she's being cagey with her phone, ask her to put it down for a second because you need to talk. Ask her how she's feeling, if she's happy with the marriage, if she feels your relationship would be better in a different form. If she says it's fine and wishes go on like this, tell her about your suspicions and doubts. Tell her you suspect her of having been chatting with a lover just moments ago. If she doesn't offer to check her phone voluntarily, then you'll know. Unless you need the evidence for a divorce trial or whatever, then a detective and a lawyer are your best bets. He is not married yet, it is his fiance. Rule number 1, always trust your gut. Regardless, you say you do not click sexually. That alone screams don't get married. End it now. Sorry man, I'm sure that's not what you wanted to hear. Have to agree. Trust your gut. There are too many red flags. Trust, actually, she doesn't trust you, otherwise, she would have open and transparent communication and wouldn't hide anything. No open and transparent communication. Additionally, group chats with you and her male friends would make it much more transparent. Poor sex life. Behavior with this guy. Typical behavior of cheaters. Hiding their phones. Deleting messages and logs on their phones. Gaslighting about calls/messages. You have to ask yourself if you want to marry this person if she continues the way she is acting, because your trust issues will jeopardize your marriage in any case. Dude, sexual intimacy is the most important thing. If it doesn't click, cheating is most likely to occur. Why would you make her a fiance when you don't click? WTF. Or are you thinking that oh my, I am getting old. I need a partner for growing old together? Well, guess what dude. You settled for something less and it's causing such distress. Take my advice. Call off the engagement and tell her that you don't feel sexually connected with her and it would be better if we can remain friends. Do it regardless of whether she is cheating or not. Don't know why some people settle for less, after that take a few years to find someone who you can connect with. As already said, serial incompatibility, especially prior to marriage, is a harbinger of bad things to come if they have not already. It may cost a bit, but hire a good pie that has the resources to give you answers in a few weeks. If good, you can ease your mind. I would still have a serious conversation of concerns and insist she sit near you at home and do so and demonstrate she is with you when out. If not, you should confront her and see how she responds. If remorseful, insist on a prenup that gives the injured party 100% of all marital assets and applicable alimony/child support in the event of proven emotional or physical infidelity that leads to divorce. The lack of attention to you when out is disrespectful and a red flag. Sitting away from you on the couch and playing in a discreet way with her phone is also disrespectful as well as another red flag. Having guys as her best friends is very concerning. Most guys do not just want a friendship. Her attraction to this without having close female friends is a major concern. The biggest concern is sexual incompatibility. Holy shot. Do you really think each of you are willing to accept this issue for the rest of your lives? The marriage should be until death do you part. Being the case, get that paw now, and if the news is not good and she is unwilling to do the things out. To set you at ease, it is never too late to cancel the wedding. If she gives you the "you don't trust me" line, explain she has given you reason for concern. Lay it out for her. If she is as logical as you say, logically she should see a smoking gun. When there's smoke there's fire. Hire a buy. Don't get into a relationship where you know you might encounter issues later on. Just from your gut feelings, I'd say no way to marriage. But consider this. I'm of the mind that you aren't supposed to screw others over. If I were in your shoes, I'd install spyware on her phone that monitors text messages and get all the proof you can handle. Then, just before the wedding, pull a you/Kermit_defrog, print everything up in a binder and send a copy to everyone applicable and then ghost her. When the opportunity arises in social gatherings, she chooses him over you every time. Ignore you completely when she is around this guy. Of course there is something going on. It's up to you to decide whether the way she treats you is acceptable for the rest of your life or not. Do not base your decision off how your daughter feels about her. She's also started sitting on the other end of the couch. I think two people in love and about to get married don't do this, at least not all the time. So I want to say, since she deletes everything, it's possible that she has a squeaky clean phone, because mine pretty much is. My husband and I have an open phone policy, and the other night we were looking at each other's phones for fun. He had to go into my emails to find anything remotely bad that was all from like a year before we even met. I had just not deleted some old emails. So yes, if I was obsessive about deleting emails, he would have found nothing at all in my phone. Now honestly, I don't think that's what is going on here. Especially with her basically ignoring you when you were out with this guy. So unfortunately, you're probably going to have to get sneaky. Either put a voice-activated recorder in her car, or perhaps a camera behind where she sits on the couch, if this is possible. That way you can see what she is doing. You won't be able to read the messages probably, but you will be able to see what she is doing. Trust your guts and dump her. Put that marriage on hold until you get your questions answered. There are several posts here that tell you how to go about it. Trust yourself. And do not marry this person. Call it off. Let her explain it to everyone. You've made your feelings clear. She's shown you she doesn't care. Do you really want a life of worrying and trying to figure out what she's up to? You obviously don't trust her, and she obviously does not trust you. That does not bode well for a good marriage. You've got a golden opportunity to dodge a huge, life-altering mistake here. You should take it. Is her phone guarded 24/7? I've heard of recovery software in these subs. Have you looked into that? With her security level so high, even when things are above board, it's going to be hard to pin down. Since she's in contact with suspected others anyway, looking at the record of how much she texts him probably won't do any good. Might be that you'll just have to ask. Are you seeing someone else when you go to? Something just doesn't seem right. Ask for total honesty and see where it goes. Of course you'll have to tell her what you think and how you feel. Maybe a little heart-to-heart will get down to the bones of the matter, and maybe you'll find there's actually a lot to work on before you jump into marriage. Best to take care of that well before. Good luck. If you can forward it, hire a buy. Don't marry a person you don't trust. Period. Call it off. Trust your gut. Maybe find some way to postpone the wedding a month or two until you are 100% sure. Especially given the sexual incongruity thing. That sounds like a formula for a short-lived and unhappy marriage. Canceling or postponing the wedding at this stage might cost a lot of money, maybe thousands. Getting divorced in 20 years could cost you hundreds of thousands. Don't fall for the sunk cost fallacy. If it doesn't feel right, don't go ahead with the wedding. Thanks for the responses, guys and girls. I am reading, and the answers most have given seem very obvious from the outside. As we all know, there is the rose-colored glasses of a fool in love problem clouding better judgment. I know the sex can get better, she's super hot and we have both got our freak on in the past, but this is another issue for another forum, I think. But the other factor I failed to mention is, I have a 6-year daughter who has grown up with my fiance from 12 months old as a very solid mother figure to her. My daughter, now 6, absolutely adores her and would be absolutely devastated if she were to leave our life. I know it is what it is, but I don't want to have another family unit break up for my daughter who has already got mom and dad living separate lives, and for her own emotional well-being, and the simple fact I don't want her thinking that it's normal that solid relationships end. Dude, then you will have to bear the consequences of her cheating. All that you said indicated to her being secretive about something. Was she always like that? Or is it recently that she is being so suspicious? Dude, if you marry then you also might have to alimony, which can be an issue. And you tell about your child. What if she grows up to know that mom cheats on dad behind his back? It will be a normal occurrence to her then. Dude, don't be so hasty. You wouldn't have come here to post if you didn't have strong suspicions regarding something. Watch out, you commented with your main account. Just talk to her, man. Talk to her about your doubts, whether they come from your past insecurities or not. This is not something you can solve on your own. Talk to her about your sex life, because if you feel you both are not fulfilled, how can you feel sure she's not gonna get this somewhere else? And for your kid. She's gonna be hurt if you guys split, but on the long run it's gonna be more painful if she sees you not happy in a relationship. The problem here is that you seem totally in awe of her intellect, but let me assure you of something: people with high intellect are not necessarily blessed in every facet of life, and they often are extremely entitled, everyone including and particularly you are beneath them. So since you are not even close to being her equal, you are not being treated as an equal. She may be very intelligent, but look at all the mistakes she is actually making. All cheaters are lost in a world of non-reality, where what they are doing is being done by an alter ego, not truly themselves. She is intelligent, certainly, but sadly lacking in life experience and emotional intelligence. It eventually comes down to how narcissistic she actually is. Some are totally incapable of truly loving anyone other than themselves. Look up NPD in personality disorders. So, what has been her previous sexual and relationship history beyond the 7-foot giant she had been enjoying anal with? Who was the one to break up in those relationships, and how long did each last? Has she cheated before? How important emotionally is the sex act to her, and how does she in fact define having sex? Has she been what most would consider promiscuous, and if so, what is her motivation in doing so? If you cheated, what would she do? If she cheats, what would she expect or want you to do? Is cheating in her estimation not a big deal, and it is always reconcilable? The fact of her being so very private means you likely cannot answer those questions, and those questions are ultimately part of the answers you need. Never ever marry anyone you do not know to the nth degree. Her actions as you related are extremely troubling. But I know full well there is more, way more you aren't mentioning. And I could not discern if the 7-foot dude is the one you most worry about. She thinks she has all in complete control, but she doesn't, because you know something is definitely not right. Either be gone, packed up and ghost her when she returns, or figure out a way to otherwise find the truth. The life you are now living is not living much at all. Either verify one way or the other, or simply leave. Talking in and of itself is not adequate to communication. Communication is way more than simply talking. You two are not even up to the inadequate level of at least talking. If she truly cares for you, she will look for, hurt you left and find you. If not, then you haven't lost anything other than the person she never actually was in the first place. Stand your ground. She has to either be a normal partner, disclosing, showing truth, trust, honesty, and transparency. Transparency means no more bullshit with her freaking phone. In fact, showing that she actually, truly loves you, etc. And you need to blindside her by following in some manner and seeing if she is actually meeting up with other men. GPS her car, to see the location she frequents. Is she where she should be, and with whom she should be with? Obviously she is turning off her lock action, another red flag. Voice-activated recorders, hidden cameras, spyware on her phone. You cannot marry a girl you cannot trust. A partnership is a sharing of everything. Hiding anything of importance is a form of infidelity. If she cares, the principles of infidelity 180 often actually work. Best of luck to you. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night. Wherever you are.